Lucasfilm has officially let go of Gina Carano from any future Star Wars projects, and the internet is going wild. Let's talk about it.
Have you seen Star Wars?
Since September of 2020, Gina Carano has been a hot topic in the Star Wars fandom. Gina was in some hot water when she seemingly made fun of trans people by putting beep, bop, boop in her Twitter bio for her pronouns. This is when the hashtag #FireGinaCarano Twitter movement began, and as time went on, Gina started posting stuff on her Twitter and her Instagram account that were clearly non-establishment and anti-liberal or Democrat. She also started doing live streams with members of a group called the Fandom Menace on YouTube, following them on Twitter, liking their tweets, etc. This is a group who's largely against modern-day Star Wars content and often makes content hating on Disney and Lucasfilm. So needless to say, it kind of became a little shocking that Gina was associating with people who openly slandered her employer and then kept tweeting edgy conservative stuff on social media. Now, she apologized for the trans pronouns in her bio situation, saying that she talked to her fellow co-star in The Mandalorian, Pedro Pascal, who plays the Mandalorian, about why these pronouns matter and that she had intended to stand up to those who were bullying her. She later tweeted about this educational conversation with Pedro Pascal, and while she still declined to post her pronouns in her bio, she expressed solidarity with those who chose to do so. But the internet does not forgive, and it doesn't forget. Gina could not stop stirring the political pot. This past Tuesday, she finally tweeted the straw that broke the camel's back. Gina posted an image depicting the Jews during the Holocaust, along with the caption, "Jews were beaten in the streets, not by Nazi soldiers, but by their neighbors, even by children." Because history is edited, most people don't realize that to get to this point where the Nazi soldiers could easily round up thousands of Jews, the government first made their own neighbors hate them simply for being Jews. How is that any different from hating someone for their political views? Now, this immediately sparked some backlash and online controversy from those who felt she made an unequal comparison. The Fire Gina Carano hashtag resurfaced, calling on Lucasfilm and Disney to let her go. And well, they listened. A Lucasfilm spokesman told IO9 that Gina Carano is not currently employed by Lucasfilm and there are no plans for her to be in the future. Nevertheless, her social media posts denigrating people based on their culture and religious identities are abhorrent and unacceptable. Later, it was reported by The Hollywood Reporter that Lucasfilm had actually wanted to fire Gina since November of 2020. Moreover, there were even plans to reveal her own spin-off series in December at Disney's investors meeting, but these plans were scrapped after her pronouns incident. Now, here's the thing. I'm not overly shocked that Disney and Lucasfilm let Gina go. She was purposely pushing the envelope and seemed to enjoy going against the grain, regardless of how it made anyone feel. Which is fine, everyone should be able to exercise their freedom of speech, whether or not I agree with it. But I think the comparing of the persecution of the Jewish people during the Holocaust to the unpopularity of being a Republican during this modern age is a real big stretch. I openly lean conservative and completely understand what message she was trying to get across here, but it was just a poor comparison, because even though I'm a conservative, I'm not being put into concentration camps for my political beliefs. It's apples and oranges. It's not even oranges. It's apples and a big rancor. I think this Gina Carano situation is going to divide the Star Wars fandom even further, and that kind of sucks because there's already a real big culture war that we're dealing with in this fandom, and having a Star Wars actress fired partially due to her attachment to one side of the aisle will just feed that fire. And it's really annoying that she chose to associate with the people in the Fandom Menace, who, let's not forget, I really think these people are hypocrites, because they originally called her character a Mary Sue SJW who was feminist propaganda, but then, and even now, they're deciding to support her because she started posting anti-SJW stuff on Twitter, and once she fit into their narrative, they were suddenly on board with her being part of the Star Wars universe. It wasn't that she's a woman that can kick Mandalorian's ass and therefore she's bad. It's now that, oh, we have some validity. There's a Star Wars actress who believes the same stuff we believe. She's even liking my stuff on Twitter. She's even following me on Twitter. Now I have to support her. The narrative changed, and she was attached to this group for a while. It's also extremely hypocritical for that group to want Lucasfilm employees to be held accountable or even fired for their tweets that seem political or divisive, but at the same time, they do not want Gina held up to those exact same standards. Now, a lot of people who align with Gina politically, such as the Phantom Menace or at times even myself, are happy to point out that Pedro Pascal has previously compared Trump supporters to Nazis and Confederate soldiers and Confederacy and whatnot in one of his own recent tweets and posts on Instagram. Now, Pedro should have been held accountable for alienating and critiquing those across the aisle, but he also handled the situation completely differently. He deleted the post almost immediately after he put it up, and also, he doesn't make a habit of posting political tweets like this. He doesn't fuel the fire, he doesn't really add a lot to the narrative. He's kind of doing his own thing, and of course, Pedro does get a little bit of a pass since he is the Mandalorian himself and is much more valuable for Lucasfilm projects going forward. Mark Hamill is one of those guys who I'm not a fan of being openly liberal because he posts about this stuff every day, but also I'm not going to hold it against him and try to get him canceled or say I don't ever want to see him as Luke Skywalker, because he's still a great person and he does play my childhood hero. So when it comes to Gina Carano being fired over what she posted, I don't think that part was deserved. I do think it was insensitive. I do think it was extreme hyperboles, and I think she should have been reprimanded for it in terms of being talked to by Lucasfilm, having someone like whoever runs her publicity over there talk to her and say, hey, maybe we should just not tweet. Because when it comes to the company of Lucasfilm and Disney, I understand why they would not want to employ her anymore. She has become a liability to the brand image and is a PR nightmare if she's going to continue to post this kind of content. When you work for a massive company like Disney and you're involved in Hollywood, it's normally best to not speak out against their political beliefs. I'm not saying it's wrong to speak out against these beliefs, but we all know if you want to make it in Hollywood, you're not going to make it far if you speak politics that don't align with the big studios or upset the general audience. Perhaps if Gina immediately apologized for her post on Tuesday, things would be a bit different. Maybe she would have stayed on. I loved her character of Cara Dune in The Mandalorian. I'm also a huge fan of her due to her MMA career because I'm an avid MMA fan, and I know this will be a big topic in the MMA community. It already is. So it really hurts to see someone I support and like Gina, be removed from my favorite franchise, Star Wars. But I also think she's got no one to blame but herself. When you're a celebrity, you're held to a higher standard. You have a certain influence that some people can take very seriously. So I think it's a good rule of thumb for most celebrities just to stay out of politics and controversial topics that do not pertain to them at all. Ask yourself this: if Gina Carano had simply not tweeted anything political or controversial, would she still be part of Star Wars? I think we all know the answer to be yes. If she had simply ignored the bullies or people who were harassing her, none of this would have happened. I understand standing up for your beliefs and standing up for yourself, but sometimes it takes a more mature person to walk away. And life's a lot happier when you don't go on Twitter, and you don't even use Twitter. And Gina Carano had a great thing going for her. She was a former MMA fighter who was turned into a great actress in this big show, the biggest show, called The Mandalorian, and was going to get her own spin-off series. But she lost it all. She lost it all because she wanted to continue to troll and piss off people on the internet, and if she just kept going until she got fired. That's all she did. She just kept pushing and pushing and pushing until this happened. And was it worth it? For some of us, some people who wanted her gone, maybe it was worth it. But if I'm in her position, I wouldn't say those tweets were worth it. I would say pissing that many people off just for the sake of pissing them off and trying to send a message wasn't really worth it. We have yet to hear anything from Gina or her representative. She hasn't liked anything, she hasn't retweeted anything, she hasn't done anything on social media, and even her talent agency has dropped her after Lucasfilm did last night. And you know what upsets me the most? You know what really grinds my gears about the situation? Is that it wasn't about a certain cause or movement. This wasn't about the trans community. This wasn't about the Jewish community. It wasn't about standing up to bullies, about Gina standing up to bullies. She was never really pushing a social movement that was for a good cause, like standing up to bullies or advocacy for trans rights. This was all centered around Gina Carano herself, and nothing else. She made it about her. As the hashtags Fire Gina Carano and We Love Gina Carano grew, so did her popularity. She really became a popular person because she was becoming a controversial person. And maybe she should have picked a good cause and ran with that, because she just ended up bringing all this attention to herself, and that ended up getting her fired. If she was standing up for anti-bullying the entire time, or she took what happened with the trans community and ran with that and said, okay, I'm going to start advocating for trans rights and helping that community out. If she had started pushing those kind of narratives, I don't think many people would be angry at her. But she never pushed that. It was just her. All the attention was about her. It wasn't any movement, anything she was promoting. It was just only always about her. But tell me your thoughts below in the comment section. Are you surprised that Gina was fired? Should she have been fired? Was her social media post a just cause for Lucasfilm to let her go? And what does this mean for the divide in the Star Wars fandom? Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like or a comment because it does help out the channel. If you enjoy Star Wars Only, become an Only fan, wink wink nudge nudge, and subscribe to the channel to stay up to date on the latest news in Star Wars. I'm Star Wars Only. I will see you all next time, and may the Force be with you always.